All right, Shalom, Shalom, Israel. Shalom to the Torah tribes, Yasha Allah, giving the chorus all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Mahashiach, Malak Yahweh Shah. That's all praise and son glorification unto the Most High God, Yahweh, in the name of His Son, begotten Son, Mahashiach, Malak Yahweh Shah, the righteous. All right. So in this video, and this is a Friday night fire right through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. But we're just going to make this one quick, right through the spirit, right? We'll see how long it goes. But basically, as you can see from the title of this video, this is going into the laborers are few, right? The laborers are few. So what does that mean, right? Let's go to the precept, right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 9, all right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 9 and verse 36, right? It says, but when he saw the multitudes, right? He saw the multitudes of Israelites, right? The Yahweh Shah. He was moved with compassion on them because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. So they were scattered abroad, having like sheep having no shepherd, man. What is a shepherd for? A shepherd is to guide sheep, right? That's basically what a shepherd was used for back in the ancient world. And you even have shepherds right now, right? Like literal shepherds, right? Who herd sheep, right? Just like how you have cowboys, right? Cowboys, right? They guide cows, right? Flocks of cows. So, right. So in like manner, you have what? Shepherds who guide sheep, right? Who guide flocks of sheep, right? Let's go to the book of Psalms, right? Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 80, right? In verse 1, right? Let's get a precept on a shepherd, right? Verse 1, it says, give ear, O shepherd, O Israel. It's like, give ear, O shepherd of Israel. Who is the shepherd of Israel? That's talking about Yahweh Shah, right? Thou that leadest Joseph like a flock, thou that dwellest between the cherubims, shine forth. Right? Ultimately, Yahweh, right? He's a shepherd of Israel, but you also have Yahweh Shah, and he's a shepherd of Israel too. Just like how the Most High, he's the deliverer of Israel. He's the king of Israel, but you also have Yahweh Shah, who's those same things, right? So Yahweh Shah and the Most High God, and in the same type of way, they're both the shepherds of Israel, right? Let's go to Psalm chapter 23 and verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. See that? So the Lord is our shepherd. That's plain, right? Verse 2, he maketh me to lie down in the green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He leads you beside the still waters. What does that mean? Right? He leads you to the knowledge, right? He leads you to the knowledge, man. Right? Ultimately, he leads you to the kingdom, right? He leads you to this wisdom, right? He leads you to the refuge, right? Didn't the Lord say that the name of the Lord is a strong tower? The righteous runneth into it and are safe. That's Proverbs 18 and 10, right? So Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, he leads us as a shepherd, and we are his sheep, right? That's another precept, right? In Matthew chapter 8. It's like in Matthew chapter 9, verse 36, that the Lord, he looked upon the multitudes of Israelites and he compared them to a flock of sheep having no shepherd. So that's just another precept for who the lost sheep of the house of Israel are, right? Just the Israelites, right? The lost sheep. So when you read about sheep in the scriptures, 99.9% of the time is going into the nation of Israel. All right. So let's go to Matthew chapter 9, verse 36. And when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. Then saith he unto his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Right, exactly. We see the harvest. The harvest is out here, right? We see the multitudes of Israelites, man, right? Walking to and fro, doing nothing outside, right? Trying to pass the time, you know what I'm saying? Trying to get the bag, trying to get money, you know what I'm saying? Doing dope, right? On drugs. We see our people out here, right? Doing nothing with their lives, right? They're like a sheep having no shepherd. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go, They don't know how to operate. They don't know who they are, right? That's why they're like sheep, having no shepherd, having no home, as Jeremiah puts it in Jeremiah 50 and 6. Right? Let's go to that real quick. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 6. All right, this is a classic precept. Right? Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 6. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. Right? So the Lord, basically Jeremiah, right? Jeremiah is saying, look, my people have been lost sheep, right? He saw his people. He saw how his people forgot about the Most High. He saw how his people didn't want to listen to the Most High, and therefore they became lost sheep, right? Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. Who are these shepherds? The leaders of Israel, right? The wicked leaders of Israel. You have righteous leaders of Israel listed in, for example, when you go to 2nd Ezra chapter 1, right? You have a long list, or a well, put out list of the strong and righteous leaders of Israel, right? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Noah, right? These are leaders, right? The 12 minor prophets, as they put them, right? Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Zechariah, right? Some of the major prophets, Daniel, Isaiah, Ezekiel, right? Jeremiah. These are the righteous leaders of Israel. Yahweh Shah, you know, going into the New Testament, right? The apostles, Bartholomew, Matthew, Paul, Peter. These are the righteous, these are some of the righteous shepherds, right? So as much as you have righteous shepherds, you also have wicked shepherds, right? Wicked leaders of Israel who led Israel astray. And a lot of times when you read the narratives, it will be the wicked kings that caused Israel to sin, right? It will be the wicked kings that caused Israel to sin, right? When you even go to the book of Exodus, all right? Even when you go to the book of Exodus, right? This is the book of Exodus, chapter 32, right? All praises, and verse 24, right? It says, and I said unto them, whosoever hath any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. So Moses is when you, let's establish some context, right? Basically, what's going on is, when you read this narrative, I'm gonna just start at verse 21, right? And Moses said unto Aaron, what did this people unto thee, that thou hast brought us so great a sin upon them, right? And Aaron said, let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest the people, that they are set on mischief. For they said unto me, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as this Moses, the man that brought us out of the land of Egypt, we want not what is become of him. So Israel was heavily pressing Aaron to make them idols of gold, and which he did, right? When you read this story, right, or this narrative, right? Verse 24, and I said unto them, whosoever have any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. So Aaron made a golden calf, right, for Israel to worship. Because remember, thousands and thousands and thousands of Israelites were pressing upon Aaron to make this idol, right? And so he was pressed and gave into that, and he made the idol of gold, the calf, this golden calf. A lot of people know about the golden calf, right? I just pull it up for edification's sake, right? The golden calf. Remember, a calf is a baby cow. So it was a literal statue of a baby cow, right? Which Israel worshipped. All right. So this was the golden calf that Israel was worshiping, right? Verse 25, it says, and when Moses saw that the people were naked, so Moses saw that the people were naked, right? What does that mean? Spiritually naked. They were in sin. That's why the Lord said in Revelation 16 and 15, blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Meaning you're blessed when you keep the garments, right? Your garment is really going into your spirit as well, right? It's your spirit, keeping your spirit clean, as Ecclesiastes 9 and 8, right? Keeping it clean and righteous and holy, and white, purifying it, right? Repenting daily, keeping the commandments. That's keeping your garments. If you're not keeping the commandments, you're not staying. If you're not watching, if you're not praying, reading, right, fasting, then you're going to walk naked, and people are going to see your shame. People are going to see you in sin, right? So that's what that means. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked onto their shame amongst their enemies. You see that? That's a lot, right? It says that Aaron made them naked onto their shame. So Aaron, how did Aaron make them naked? He didn't take off their clothing. That's not written there, right? Meaning that he made the golden calf. So that made the children of Israel naked because they started worshiping that calf. Because now they're sinning, right? So that's what that means, right? That's what that means. So going back to this, right? Right, going back to this, I brought that out. Why? Because let's read Jeremiah 50 and 6 again, right? It says Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 6, my people have been lost sheep. So Jeremiah's people, which are the Israelites, they have been lost sheep, right? Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. So these wicked shepherds on the left-hand side have caused Israel to go astray, right? And I brought that precept out in Exodus to demonstrate that a lot of times the shepherds, the wicked people of Israel that will lead Israel in the path of wickedness, would a lot of times will be the authority figures of that time. For example, like the kings, like King Manasseh, right? Just a whole bunch of wicked kings of Israel and wicked kings of Judah will lead their people astray, right? But it says what they have turned them away on the mountains. They have gotten from mountain and hill. They have forgotten their resting place, right? So they have forgotten where they came from, and that's us. The Lord already said that. Like let's go to Jeremiah chapter 17, right? The Lord said that you're going to forget where you came from, right? That's part of the curses, right? You want to know who you are. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I'll cause thee to serve thine enemies in a land which thou knowest not. For you have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. So the Lord said, you have kindled a fire in mine anger, right? This anger is going to burn forever. That forever is not a literal forever. That forever is just for a long time. Because remember, how can the Lord still be angry at his people when he's going to establish a new covenant with them? The Lord said he's not going to remember their sin anymore, right? That's the new covenant. That's Hebrews 8 and 8 on down, right? So this forever is not a literal forever, all right? Just put that out there. But the point that I really want to touch on is when the Lord said, thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee, right? Meaning you're going to be cut off from your heritage. You're going to discontinue from it, right? And you're not going to remember where you came from. You're not going to remember who your resting place is, right? And where it is, right? You're not going to remember that the Yahweh Bashem Habashah is your refuge, right? You're going to forget that. But also to contrast that, in the book of Baruch, right, chapter 2, it says that in the places where we are being carried captive, we shall bethink ourselves. That's First Kings chapter 8, verse 47 as well, right? But going on, before I get to, off track, the spirit. All right, let's go back to Matthew chapter 9, verse 37. Then saith he unto his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. We don't have enough laborers out here, man. Right? We don't have enough brothers doing videos. We don't have enough brothers going out into the highways and byways. We always need laborers, right? We always need laborers doing the work. And remember, laboring is not just going out into the highways and byways. That's the main way to labor, right? But then again, it has been written that women have labor, right? But are women going out there into the highways and byways, right? Let's get that precept, right? Let's get that precept. There's many ways you can labor, right? Not every brother is going to be an apostle. Not every brother is going to be a teacher or an evangelist, right? That's not every brother's lot. The Lord said, are all apostles? Are all teachers? Right? The Lord didn't say that, right? Let's go to Let's go to this Philippians chapter 4, right? Let's go to Philippians chapter 4, verse 3. It says, "And I treat thee also, true yoke fellow, help those women which labor with me in the gospel, with Clement also, and with other my fellow laborers whose names are in the book of life." So how did these women labor with Paul in the gospel? Were they, readers for Paul? Were they also, Paul, he spoke for an hour and then he stepped down and then these women came up, right, and started speaking and rebuking and teaching? No, they weren't doing that. The Lord said, First Timothy chapter 2, right? "But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence." Right? So even Paul was against women teaching the scriptures, right? And going out there, especially in preaching, right? Like an evangelist, you know? So how, there's different ways to labor, man, right? There's different ways to labor, but we need to see, right? We want to see, and the Lord wants to see too, more brothers laboring, right? More sisters laboring any way that they can, you know what I'm saying? Any way that they're called to do, right? Maybe that's making garments. That's another way of laboring, right? Making garments, making fringes, teaching their family, right? Teaching the children, that's another form of laboring, you know, right? Reading, praying for Akim and Akwatim. That's another way of laboring, right? Let's go to that in the book of Colossians, right? Let's go to that in the book of Colossians. So there's all alternatives, right? If you're not called yet to go out into the highways and byways or whatever, at least make videos, right? Make sure you know what you're saying, right? Make sure you're qualified, right, to make a video and be apt to teach, right? But you can do that as well. You can use the world but not abuse it, right? It's 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 31. This is to your availability. You can make a live stream on YouTube. You can make a live stream on Instagram, or however you want to carry it out. This is Colossians chapter 4 and verse number right, Colossians chapter 4 and verse 12, right? I'm gonna start at verse 11, right? It says, "In Yahushua, which is called justice, who are of the circumcision, these only are my fellow workers unto the kingdom of God, which have been in comfort unto me." Here's the point, verse 12. "Ephroditus, who is one of you, a servant of Christ, saluteth you, always laboring fervently for you in prayers, that ye may stand perfect and complete in all the will of the Most High." So this man Ephroditus got a literal shout out from Paul, right? And the Paul was shouting it out because he was what? Laboring fervently for you in prayers. See? So even if you're, because the prayer of a righteous man availeth much, that's James chapter 5, right? The righteous fervent prayer of the fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. So if you're righteous, you're keeping the commandments to your best ability, right? You're praying, you're fasting, right? You're studying, you're trying to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? The Lord, is going to hear your prayer, right? According to his grace. So you can labor in that way. You can pray for Akim, Aquatium, right? And that's also laboring as well. Reading is laboring, right? Because labor is what? Is work. Doing the work of the Most High, right? Being his servant, right? Because we're stewards, we're servants. We're slaves to Yahweh Bash and Yahweh Shah. We're slaves of Yahweh Shah, So, right? So there's different ways of laboring. All right, I'm gonna read that again. Let's go to Matthew chapter 9 and verse 38. "Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest." So that's also something we have to be praying for, right? You can't just be praying for money all day, right? And think to get the kingdom, Can't just be praying for money. You can't just be praying for, a new phone, right? All this vanity, We have to be praying also for what? That the Lord sends forth laborers out into his harvest, right? Because there's not enough of us out here, right? I should see brothers on every block, man, right? Brothers on every block doing the same thing that we're doing, right? Trying to teach and preach the kingdom of the Most High God, right? We should see brothers on every block, but we don't. I don't, at least, right? I never see it out here. It's dry, it's desolate. But we do have people that know that they're Israel. So what are you waiting for? Right? What are you waiting for? How come you haven't repented yet? How come you still haven't put down the pork, shrimp, and lobster? How come you still haven't been clicking on the videos and actually studying, trying to get into this thing? Right? What are you waiting for? Right? You know that, and for some brothers, hey, they know the knowledge, they know the wisdom, they know all these dark sayings, the parables. They understand that they're Israel. They know how to break it down, but still, they're not making videos and they're not going out and teaching. Why not? Right? What are you waiting for? Right? Because remember, on the flip side, right, we can't be concealing our knowledge. Right? That's one thing the Lord, He doesn't like that, man. Right? Us concealing our knowledge and not sharing it out. The Lord freely gave it to you, but you don't want to freely give. That's Matthew chapter 10, verse 10. Right? As freely as ye have received, right? Slok, that's Matthew 10 and 8. Right? Freely as ye have received, freely give. Right? Let's go to this in the book of Sirach. Right? Let's get Sirach real quick. Always got to keep Sirach on the turn in this thing, right? Always got to bring out Sirach, man. Right? Sirach chapter 4 and verse 23. It says, and refrain, right? Come on. And refrain not to speak when there is occasion to do good, and hide not thy wisdom in her beauty. So the Lord just said that. He said, don't hide thy wisdom in her beauty. Because this wisdom is beautiful, man. When we're teaching out in the highways and byways, and we break it down, sometimes we run into maybe Eves or Jakes that just delight in this word, man. They just are just astonished, and they're just they're looking at the beauty of this wisdom that the Lord gave us, man. Right? And they're just astonished at it, and it makes their day. Right? So that's another reason that we have to be out here, man, for our people, because we have this wisdom and we don't want to conceal it. Right? We want to share it and we want to give it out, man. So that's why we have to be making videos. Right? We have to be teaching, right? Making posts, whatever, spreading this word, man. Right? Let's go to the book of Matthew chapter 10. It's the book of Matthew chapter 10 and verse number right 26. Fear them not, therefore, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. What I tell you in darkness, that speak ye in the light. So the Lord said, what do you speak? What do you hear in the darkness? That speak ye in the light. Brothers are watching videos 1 a.m., in the nighttime, right? And this is really going, it's on a spiritual level, but, on a physical level, brothers are watching videos late at night. They, they've been watching W5 for 5 months. They've been watching certain camps for 5 months. They've been taking notes, got a pile of notes over there, right? They did that. They've been watching videos, but they don't want to make a video, right? Themselves. Let's say you've been in the truth, right, for a year, and you still don't want to go out into the highways and byways. There's camps near you, but you don't want to do it. You still want to just conceal your wisdom. Don't do that, man. Right? The Lord said, what I tell you in darkness, that speak ye in light. You have to speak it in the light, right? And what you hear in the and when you hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetops. So what you hear in the ear, right? The Lord, when you read, the Lord sups with you and He shows you things, man. Don't just conceal it to yourself. Be like, yeah, I got the breakdown. Nobody else got this breakdown, right? You know what I'm saying? Don't be like that. You have to share the wisdom, share the knowledge, right? That Yahweh Ba Shema Mashak Yahushua has given onto you, right? It says, and what ye hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetops, right? So you got to be spreading this word, right? And that's another thing. The Lord said that in the book of Romans. How shall they hear, right, if they don't have a preacher, right? How are they going to believe on Yahweh Bash and Yahweh Shah if there is no preacher out here, right? Salaki, right? How are they going to know, right? How are they going to know, right? Salaki. Let's get another precept on that, all right? It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 11, verse 30. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise. So how you going to win souls, man? Right? How are you going to win souls if you're just sitting behind the keyboard all day? You know? How are you going to win souls, right, if you know all this wisdom, knowledge, understanding, but you don't want to share it out to nobody, right? For whatever reason, right? How are you going to win souls? The Lord said, he that winneth souls is wise, right? And Shalom, Shalom, serving the Most High, right? Yahweh Bashma Mashak Abashal Barakatah, right? Khan, Shalom, man, right? So the fruit, Salak, and it says, and he that winneth souls is wise. So how are you going to win souls over, man? Right? How are you going to win souls over? How are you going to tell Israel, right, that they're Israel? How are you going to preach this gospel if you're not going to make videos, not going to post anything on social media, if you're not going to go onto the highways and byways, right? And remember, not every brother, right, is called to be that, right? Not every brother is called to be a teacher or an apostle, right? Like I said before, not every brother is called to be even a reader. You know, there's different lots in this thing. And that's a video, that's a lesson within itself. But nevertheless, whatever you can do, use your talent. Use your talent. Use the gift that Yahweh Bash and Yahweh Shah gave you and utilize it to your best of your ability to the furtherance of the preaching of the gospel, man. Right? And that's how we can get out of here. That's when we can get out of here, right? When every Israelite, right? And not every Israelite, but just as an exaggeration, when every Israelite knows that they're Israel, man. When every Israelite knows the name of Yahweh Bash and Yahweh Shah, right? Remember, not every Israelite, but just, I'm just saying as an exaggeration, right? Every Israelite should know this truth. So therefore, right, because the Lord said this, right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 24. Right? Matthew chapter 24 and verse 14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. So if you really want to get out of here, you're going to be preaching the word, right? Because the Lord has said that. The Lord said that this truth, this gospel, has to be preached in all the world, and then the end's going to come, right? So if you're not preaching the word, then you really don't want to get out of here. You really don't want to leave. Why? Because you seem to be complacent, man, right? And remember, of course, there's levels to preaching the word, right, and teaching it. You want to make sure that you're apt to teach. On the flip side, that's the 2 Timothy chapter 2. All right, let's just pull that precept real quick. So we always have to have a balance, right? You don't want to go out to the highways and byways just a month after you came into the truth, okay? Because you're going to be easily confounded. All right, we're just going to put that out there. You're not going to know everything within just a month. Okay, so that's why some brothers say, that's why some, depending upon your ability and your talents that the Lord gave you, maybe a year, right? A year is good. A brother at a year should be, pretty apt if he's studying a lot, if he's studying a lot. And Shalom, and where should I start learning, right? So that's a good question, right? Where should I start learning? So on the videos, and there's many channels out there and many videos out there you can start watching, right? And a lot of edification. So you can start learning like that. Of course, picking up your own Bible, picking up your Bible and reading it. Okay, try to read it and let the Lord sup with you, because that's really where the learning is going to come. Okay, because we can't teach you anything, right? On a spiritual level. The Lord said that any man, basically no man is teaching you. It's the Holy Spirit that's teaching you, right? Because you need that Holy Spirit from the Most High to even learn this truth and really understand it, right? You need access from the Father to understand this truth, right? But where it, if that spirit is hitting you and that spirit is on you to learn and to understand, start with the videos and read also on your own, right? Because the Lord said that in Revelation 3:20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. So the Lord, if you open up your Bible, start studying and reading, the Lord is going to come to you. If you're sincere, he's going to sup with you, right? He's going to feed you this spiritual knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, right? Also, pray to the Lord, right? Pray to the Lord as well, right? Prayer. Well, I'm going to get this precept for you, right? Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 111 and verse 10. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So the brother said, right? I'm not sure if this is a brother or a sister, but N said, where should I start learning? The Lord said, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So to fear the Lord, that's when you began learning, right? Fearing the Lord. So that's keeping the commandments first and foremost, right? Keeping the commandments, right? Of course, you have to know the commandments first, but you have to be keeping the commandments to even understand this Bible, because that's when your wisdom is going to come from, the fear of the Lord, right? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding hath all they that do his commandments, his praise endure forever. So when you start keeping these commandments, the spirit hits you and you're studying, right? You're watching the videos, you're taking notes, right? Just like, how it's a class, right? Just like in the classroom, man. You have to have a teacher and you're taking notes, right? You're taking notes, you're asking questions. That's how you're learning, right? But always you have to be keeping the commandments, because those that keep the commandments and fear the Lord, they have a good understanding of this Bible, right? They have a good understanding. See, that's why the Christians, they don't understand this Bible, because they don't keep the commandments. It's plain, right? They say, oh, the law is done away with, and Christ, he fulfilled the law and kept the law for us, so that means we don't have to keep the law, right? So eat pork, right? They eating pork in Sunday service, man, right? So that's why when they open up the Bible, right, they think they're bugging the hell out, right? They think that in Revelation 13, let's say Revelation 13, this mark of the beast is I don't know, man, right? Whatever they say, right? John 3:16, the Lord actually loves everybody, right? For Esau have I hated, that's Romans 9:13. They think that's going into the Lord actually just saying, oh, he was like that in the Old Testament, whatever, right? You're going to come up with these heinous, doctrines, right? That just come out of nowhere. But the point is that you have to be keeping the commandments, right? To have that good understanding. And when you start learning, you just start keeping, like I said, keeping the commandments, praying, right? Watching the videos and reading for yourself, right? Taking notes, right? So Lord willing, that answer your question, all right? Lord willing, that answer your question. I get it. Another precept on that too, right? That's Sirach chapter 1 and verse 26. Sirach 1 and verse 26. If thou desire wisdom, so if you desire wisdom, right? Keep the commandments, and the Lord shall give her unto thee, right? So if you desire wisdom, if you want to learn, you have to keep the commandments. You see that? The Lord's going to give that wisdom unto you. Let's go to the book of James, right? Let's also get this too. That's why I said prayer as well, right? Let's go to James chapter 1 and verse 5. If any of you lack wisdom, so if you lack wisdom of the Most High, right? If you're like, man, I don't really know what this Bible is going into, right? This is what James is saying. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask. Let him ask of God. So you have to ask of the Most High, that giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him, right? So the Lord said, hey, or James is saying, hey, keep the commandments, but also, hey, pray to him. Pray for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I remember when I did that first, when I was coming to this truth, this faith, and I was praying for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and the Lord increased it, the Lord increased it. So, we have to be praying, and I still pray for that too, right? But, if you lack wisdom, James explicitly states, just pray to the Most High, right? But what? Verse 6, but let him ask in faith, nothing wavering, for he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. You see that? So the Lord is saying, look, ask in faith. So you have to believe in the Most High, right? That's Hebrews 11 and 6, right? You have to believe in the Most High for even your prayers to be heard. The Lord is looking for that faith. You can't just be like, yeah, I'm going to pray for wisdom. The Lord, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah, increase my wisdom, So yeah, just, please, right? Increase my wisdom because I want to seem like the smartest dude. That's not asking in faith, you know. And also, if you're praying to him like, Yahweh Ba, I don't know if the Lord's going to hear me, right? Who am I? Who am I? Right? I'm nobody. I used to think like that too, right? I used to think like that when I first came in. Who am I? There's 7 billion people on this planet, right? Who the hell am I for the Lord to hear my prayer? Hey, the Lord's going to hear your prayer above all those other people, man. Why? Because you're an Israelite. You're trying to come into this truth. You know his true name, right? You know his son's true name, right? Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah, right? So, right. So, you also want to, when you're praying, you want to ask in faith as well, right? So meaning that when you come to pray before the Most High, you're preparing what you're saying, and you're also believing in Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah, that he will give you that knowledge. All right. So, Lord willing, that answer your question, right? Kind of long-winded, but yeah, right? But all praise to the Most High God, man. Any other questions about that? Right? Any other questions about that? So yeah, man, that the laborers are few, man. Right? Let's get this in the book of 2 Timothy. There's not enough brothers out here. There's not enough brothers, right? 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 1. I charge thee therefore before God and the Lord Yahweh Shah Mahashiach, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom. Preach the word. So the Lord said, preach the word, man. Be instant in season, out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. You see that? Preach the word, be instant in season, out of season. Meaning when it's in season, when it's like 75 degrees outside, it feels good. You know what I'm saying? You got music playing in the background. All this other stuff is happening, right? You perfectly fine. Your body's just straight. You feel hecka good, right? And you just laboring. That's in season. There's going to be days like that. But out of season is when it's hella hot or when it's hella cold. You don't want to go out there. Your feet is hurting. Back is hurting. That's out of season, but you still do it. That's being a soldier, right? And I forgot, let's go to 2 Timothy real quick, chapter 2, right? I want to get the flip side, right? Like I said, you don't want to go out there when you're not apt to teach. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to make videos and you're just breaking it down completely wrong, right? You're like, you're just winging it. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to just wing it, right? So let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 22, right? It says, flee also youthful lust, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of the pure heart. So you want to have a pure heart, all right? That pure spirit. But foolish and unlearned questions avoid, knowing that they do gender strifes. And you can learn a lot from how to teach. You can learn how to teach by just observing these mighty teachers that be out here preaching the word, right? And teaching outside, doing the work. You can learn a lot from them, how they teach and what precepts to pull when someone says this. That's how I learned, you know what I'm saying, through my dad, but also through these mighty teachers out here, right? I watched them, you know what I'm saying, through the spirit, and I learned how to teach, and also by doing it myself too, right? And from my father, like I said, too, right? So, you will gradually understand the Lord is going to give you, if that's your lot, the Lord is obviously going to raise you up, right? It says, verse 24, and the servant of the Lord must not strive, but be gentle unto all men, apt to teach, patient. So the servant of the Lord has to be gentle, right? And also apt to teach. What does that mean, apt to teach? Meaning that you know what you're talking about, right? You apt to teach. You know the precepts, you know the breakdowns, you know what this is going into, right? And you're not breaking it down completely wrong, right? Sometimes we may forget, right? Sometimes we get to the point where we just, we learn a lot, and sometimes we might forget a precept too, right? That's bound to happen. You're not going to know every precept, but you have to know what you're saying though, right? You have to be, knowing, the curses, Deuteronomy 28. You have to be knowing the milk, you know what I'm saying? All this other stuff, right? And even for us that's on a higher level, that actually want to be, apologists, if you will, you know what I'm saying? We want to strive for that teaching level or that teacher level. We have to be knowing a lot of stuff, okay? Because when you go out there, anybody could ask you any question. Think about that. Anybody could ask you any question about the scripture and you will have to know it, right? But again, that goes into being apt to teach, right? That goes into being apt to teach. But if you're sincere, the Lord is going to increase your knowledge, right? It says, but be gentle unto all men, apt to teach, patient, and meekness, instructing those that oppose themselves, if God peradventure will give them repentance to the acknowledging of the truth. So that's why we out there as well, to instruct those that oppose themselves, to instruct those that's not keeping the commandments. That's how they're opposing themselves, right? That's living ungodly. That's living contrary to the will of the Most High God, right? It says, verse 26, and that they may recover themselves out of the snare of the devil, who are taken captive by him at his will. So we have to take our brothers and sisters out of the captivity, right, of Satan. You know what I'm saying? We had to take them out, right? Because literally Satan is oppressing our people. That's Acts chapter 10, verse 38, right? Yahweh Shah was healing those that were oppressed by the devil, right? Oppressed by the devil, right? So Satan is oppressing and taking us captive. You know what I'm saying? And when we see our brothers out there in the world, they're literally taken captive by Satan. They can't get out of their situation, right? Their drug addiction, right? Maybe their fornication addiction, right? They just can't get out of it, right? Their unclean food addiction, those are spirits on them that's making them do that, right? So we have to get it off of them, right? Through the spirit, by what? Let's go to the book of Matthew. How can we fix that? Let's go to Matthew chapter 8 and verse 16. When the evening was come, they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils. So people were bringing to Yahweh many that were possessed by demons, right? Possessed by Satan, right? And his minions. It says many of that were possessed by devils, and he cast out the spirits with his word and healed all that were sick. So he cast out the spirits by his word, man. By his word, by the words of the Most High God, right? And we know that, Yahweh Shah, he was saying, Satan get thee hence, stuff like that, right? But on another level, right, we can also apply this as what? The words of the Most High. That's how we're going to cast out these demons, with the word of the Most High. But how are you going to do that if you're not actually out there? You know what I'm saying? How are you going to do that if we don't know the word in the first place? Right? So we have to be out there in order for these demons to depart. We have to be reading the word, right, and casting these demons out, off of our people. This spirit power, Yahweh Ba, Shema Mashak, Yahushua, of course. All right. So I'm gonna end it soon, right? With that, I'm gonna end it soon with the spirit. All right. Shabbat Shalom, right? Shabbat Shalom. All right, let's go to Romans chapter 10 and verse 13. Right? It says, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Right? Meaning everybody of the nation of Israel. Right? If you call upon the name of the Lord, you're going to be saved. Right? Verse 14. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? Right? So how is Israel going to call upon Yahweh Bash and Yahweh Shah, whom they haven't even believed in him? Right? How are they going to call upon him? You have to have faith. You have to have faith in the Lord in order for you to call upon him, right? It says, and how shall they believe on him of whom they have not heard? Wait, so how they even going to believe in Yahweh Bash and Yahweh Shai when they have never even heard that name, right? When they haven't even heard who Yahweh Bash and Yahweh Shai is, they only know sweet Jesus, you know, they only know God, right? They think that God is God's name. They only know Jehovah, right? How are they going to call upon him in whom they have not even heard? That's why we have to be preaching this word, man. You know what I'm saying? On Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, right? Facebook, do actually being out there in the highways and byways, maybe at your job, maybe at places where you see people at, you see Israelites at. You know what I'm saying? You tell them anyway, right? You bump into them, whatever, passing out flyers, whatever, man, right? Doing the work of the Most High, because there's not enough laborers out here, right? It says, and how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? So how are they going to hear, right, about who the Most High is, about repenting, or how are they going to call upon the name of the Lord if there's not a preacher out there, man? And I'm not talking about a pastor. Not talking about these pastor preachers, right? Seeing that, they always putting on a damn show, man, sweating, right, in the church, not talking about them. I'm not talking about these Edomite preachers, man. These damn microphones on their ear, right, on their head, right, microphone like that, and they're preaching, they're so-called preaching the words of the Most High. They don't even have a Bible in their hand, man, right? And you preaching the words of the Most High, you don't even have a Bible in your hand. You just kind of quoting the verse, right? That's what the brother Yakar told me, man. That's what he saw, right? A Edomite preacher, so-called preacher, right? Trying to preach, you know what I'm saying, without a Bible, right? It's madness. Or a preacher is trying to preach out there with the Bible. He's just reading it though. That's not preaching, man. Preaching goes into teaching. You know what I'm saying? You teaching the words of the Most High God. You're not just saying stuff, right? You're not just saying whatever, right? You're actually teaching, you're prophesying, etc., right? Verse 15, and how shall they preach except they be sent? So the Lord also, needs to send these preachers, right? But if you feel like, you came into this truth, man, you feel like the Most High has called you into this thing, right? Then, when the time comes, you can go ahead and go out, be out there, man, right? There's a spirit. Go ahead and make these videos. Go ahead and make these posts. Go ahead, share these videos, right? Go ahead, and go out there and join a camp, whatever. Make a camp, right? It says, how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. That's talking about those that bring the gospel, man. That's talking about those that preach these the words of the Most High God and teach it, right, and keep it, right. And I'm gonna end it off with this, right. I'm gonna end it off with this, right. To the spirit. It's the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 9, and verse 24. Classic, right. 1 Corinthians, chapter 9. It's like not 24, right. 14. It says, even so, the Lord have ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel. So we have to make sure that what we preach, what we teach, we live, right? I'm gonna skip down to verse. I'm gonna just keep reading verse 15. But I have used none of these things. Now that I have written these things, that it should be so done unto me. For it were better for me to die than that any man should make my glory flying void. Verse 16, for though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of. For necessity is laid upon me, yea, woe is me, right? It's like, woe is unto me if I preach not the gospel. Bahashima Mashak Yahweh, man, right? Bahashima Mashak Mamalak Yahweh, right? Woe is unto me if I preach not the gospel. So if you got all this wisdom, knowledge, understanding, right, and you still refuse to make videos, you still refuse, right, to go onto the highways and byways, read that precept, man. And Lord, when the Lord sparks a flame, right, woe is unto me if I preach not the gospel, right? So with that, it's Brother Yashala, right? All praise to Yahweh Bashma Mashak Abashah. Lord willing, this was edifying. The laborers are few, right? We have to be out there for our people, man, for our God, for our nation, right? And for our King. You know what I'm saying? Right? Shabbat Shalom. Again, hopefully there was Lord edifying, right? Shalak. And the water for tuning in. Like to see y'all next time as well, right? Through the Spirit Pod, Yahweh Bashma Mashak Abashah. Shalom.